Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 7 of season 3 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory career mode.
Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
So there we are then, once again coming into yet another Grand Prix weekend with good news. More and more upgrades going on the car, and as I keep saying in this series, we're just trying to give ourselves a distinct, clear-cut advantage. I'm actually quite intrigued to see what Lance Stroll will be able to do, you know, with an absolutely dominant car in Formula 1. But yeah, we've got another front wing upgrade there, the front downforce. I'm not going to lie, a few of you will probably question why I'm trying to upgrade the downforce so much. Two reasons, mainly one, because obviously they're good upgrades on the car, and two, I do sort of want to get the achievement as well on this game. You know, I would quite like to 100% this game by the end as well, and obviously getting all the upgrades from one department is one of those achievements, so I'm sort of trying to focus on the aero at the moment here. You know, it is still quite worth it as well. So yeah, just a little bit of an explanation to that one. So yeah, we've got 3 more upgrades to go in terms of the aero department here, and you know, I'm feeling stronger and stronger every single weekend in this car. You know, it's getting a bit ridiculous overall. You know, how stupidly quick this thing really is. But free practice, as you come to expect, was a fairly simple show and able to pick up quite a few R&D points from that. The Canadian Grand Prix circuit is one that I've really enjoyed. It hasn't always gone well for us in this career mode as well. I remember back in season 1, we had an absolutely monumental crash in the early stages of that race. But obviously hoping in season 3 it will be a little bit of a different story here. Obviously we are in the lead of the Drivers' World Championship. We're near enough there, I think, as well in the Constructors, which is obviously absolutely crucial. I do want to wrap up both titles, you know, before I want to make any moves elsewhere in this career mode as well. But yeah, really important that we do pick up more and more points over these next few Grand Prix weekends. But yeah, really excited for this Canadian Grand Prix. A brilliant circuit in my opinion. Probably up there as one of my top 3 in Formula 1. Probably behind Spa and either Austria or Monza there. It's definitely right up there. But let's move on then into the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. The Professor lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Esteban Ocon, and Raikkonen, Stroll, Perez, Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz. Alonso, Leclerc, Nico Hülkenberg, and Ricciardo, Magnussen, Van Dorn, Marcus Ericsson, and Roman Grosjean. Gasly and Brendan Hartley rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
You've done well to put it on pole, but we've still got work to do. Trying to cover the inside line off the start.
So finally, my first pole position of the year there, and it does come at the Canadian Grand Prix, obviously, where Lewis Hamilton, I think, famously took his first pole in Formula 1 as well here. It isn't my first pole in this series. Obviously, we did qualify pole in last season's Austrian Grand Prix, but quite funny that considering how dominant we've been so far this season, this was my first pole of the year. Also note, we are on a harder compounded tyres over the AI here, but here we are then on the grid, ready for the Canadian Grand Prix. It is 5 lights here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it is lights out, and away we go. They're not off to a particularly good start, though we do get a little bit of a wheel spin, and Valtteri Bottas on my outside is just going to send it at T1 there. Lewis Hamilton as well goes through, very aggressive by the pair of the Mercedes drivers there. Sebastian Vettel there is going to get a completely open door, as well as we come up hill in towards the second chicane there, and that has not been a good start for myself. Right around back around the outside though of Sebastian there. We do hold on to P3 there, but yeah, what an aggressive start by the Mercedes drivers. Obviously feeling they've got a huge amount of potential in this Grand Prix and want to try and get out with a clear-cut advantage off the start, struggling with the rear end there as well. That's going to give Seb another golden opportunity as we come now down in towards this 3rd or 4th chicane even of that lap there. Side by side, both clean race of respect from the pair of us there, but we do once again hold it right around the outside there, and I think that's going to give Ocon to try and have an opportunity on Sebastian as well there, but the Mercedes have just absolutely romped off of this start here with me fighting Seb just behind me. You can see Lewis and Valtteri there. Well, I think they were 1.5 seconds up the road, but slowly but surely, you know, the overwhelming pace of this Williams would kick in. Over 200 miles an hour going in towards turn 1 there. We do almost run into the back though of Lewis Hamilton there. A little bit of a mistake by myself there, and that's going to give them once again a little bit of breathing room there. The team warning me about wear on the car here, and we'll have a quick look at the engine hopefully over these next couple of laps. But right now though, Mercedes are having a little bit of civil war here. Bottas and Hamilton side by side through the final corner there. We're going to go side by side with Bottas down in towards turn 1. Who is going to come out better off this one? He gives me the squeeze over the curbs, but he will have the inside for T2 that we do get very, very good traction though on the exit of the corner, right to the outside of Valtteri there. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between the powers, but we do send it right around the outside now up into P2 of this Grand Prix. We do have to be careful because those hyper soft tyres are really, really going off already in this race here. The hypers do not go very well around this Canadian Grand Prix circuit there. But as I said, we'll have a look at the engine wear, and as you can see, it is absolutely, it's not in a good shape at the moment. 65% on the ICE there. I think we were well over 50% on the turbocharger as well. So we will really need to be sorting that out after this Grand Prix weekend. But obviously, there's nothing we can really do now in this race. And honestly, it didn't feel too bad at this stage of the day. You know, we weren't exactly struggling for power. I think that's partially due to just how ridiculously fast this car is on the whole. You know, we definitely felt very, very confident still in this Williams there. And onto the end though of lap 7, as I said, those hypersofts just go off so quickly on this game there. And well, by the end of lap 7, Lewis Hamilton had dived in for his first pit stop of the day there. And this gave me a golden opportunity here. We need to have a look at the mini-map here. Obviously, the Canadian Grand Prix circuit has a bit of a weird pit lane overall. It doesn't cost you all too much time. But as you just have a look on the mini-map there is a huge cluster of cars coming through the final couple of corners there. That's Daniel Ricciardo, and I think like Alonso and Hulkenberg and people like that there. And Lewis Hamilton is actually going to come out right in the mid-pack of that group there. So that is not ideal for him, but that gives me a golden opportunity to try and work the overcut here. And by lap 12, you can see the gap was now all the way up to about 20 seconds in this race. And I felt good, I felt consistent, I felt clean at this stage of the day. You know, we were really, really not struggling all too much for pace here. Starting to struggle a little bit with the rears by the end of this stint, but obviously remember, this is right at the very end of this stint window here. You can see by the end, though, of lap 14 there, Lewis Hamilton had basically carved his way through near enough the entirety of that group, just Alonso and Hulkenberg to go there. But we were diving in to the pit lane here for hopefully our only stop of the race here, trying to make the one-stop work in this Grand Prix here. Going to be interesting to see how we fare towards the end of this race there. But yeah, dive it in to our pit box here. Hopefully it's going to be a fairly clean stop. They're struggling to try and get the car back up into first gear there. It's still a 2.1 second pit stop. The team did all they could there. It was just a little bit of an error on my half there. And as we come out of the pit lane, we are going to be miles ahead of Fernando Alonso and Nico Hulkenberg. It wasn't even like I was under threat from the pair of them there. What a few laps that has been from myself though. I think that's given us still about a 7-second lead over the pair of them there. And obviously, well, Hamilton is even further back than that. We're trying to look through this first, obviously the first split zone of this lap here, the first sector of this lap. Alonso is, what's that, 5.7 seconds back. Hulkenberg is 6.7, so that means Lewis is about 7.5, 8 seconds back at this stage of the day, which means we've managed to pull out about a 10-second overcut strategy here. And well, honestly, from then on out, I'm not really going to sugarcoat it too much. We just found ourselves in a groove. Obviously, the Mercedes would have to pit again in this race as well here, most likely. They weren't going to be able to take those super softs right the way through to the end. You know, it was a tight one-stop in this race, and especially on those hypers, you don't really stand much of a chance. And honestly, between obviously there and the end of the race here, we just needed to keep the car, you know, keep it clean, keep it consistent, try to save the engine as much as possible here, avoid any sort of errors between now and the end of the race here. As you can see, the ICE is now up to 70%, where the turbocharger up to 60% as well here. But we were still carving our way through the lapped traffic as well, which is obviously really, really important. Almost have a near miss with Romain Grosjean there. Almost ran to the rear of him as he parks it through the hairpin. Not too sure what that was by the Haas driver there, but I think it's Formula 1 drivers say like the car is an extension of your hands and legs. That's how I really felt in this race. Just supreme 100% confidence in this Williams car. You know, when you get the setup right, when everything seems to work, it's just ridiculously quick overall there from myself. You can see by lap 34, lapping both of the Red Bull cars. That's just how really just strong this Williams has been over the entirety of this race there. And honestly, I couldn't ask for much of a better car. And as we move on though to the final lap of this Grand Prix here, you can see, well, unchallenged throughout the entirety basically of this weekend. It's going to be pole position, I'm pretty certain. I don't actually think it is fastest lap though. I think Lance Stroll actually whipped in a ever so slightly quicker lap right towards the end of the race. So unfortunately we can't quite get that overall dominance from this weekend. But through the final couple of corners though, we're all over the back though of Kevin Magnussen there, run horribly deep actually in through the final couple of corners there. But it is win number 4 of the season, our first victory, if I'm not mistaken, at the Canadian Grand Prix, and obviously crashing in style over the line.
Just fantastic. You deserve that race win.
Here they are then, coming into Parc Fermé, and an excellent win for the Williams team. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
And as the adrenaline dies down after another eventful Grand Prix, here come the top 3 out onto the podium.
So what a day it has been. A full 25 points in the bag once more there, and the race victory by 30 seconds over Lewis Hamilton there, averaging, what, what's that, a second a lap near enough? Obviously a 35 lap race there, 50 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez there in P3, and obviously he remains very, very consistent. Just going to show you know that Force India, I think theoretically it's like the 7th or 8th quickest car now, but it's still, in terms of race pace, is right there overall there. Hulkenberg misses out on a podium. Obviously he does now have a podium though in Formula 1, obviously after last season's French Grand Prix with Alonso in P5 there. Seb in 6th, Charles Leclerc 7th. Lance Stroll, my teammate, does pick up 4 points there as well for the team, which is obviously really, really ideal there. But Pierre Gasly doing very, very well in that Toro Rosso up to P9 with Kimi Räikkönen down in P10 there. A little bit of chopping and changing by a lot of drivers there. Only myself and Danny Rick from the top 14 would hold on to our starting place there, which really does go to show how crazy the Canadian Grand Prix can be overall. There are obviously a lot of drivers dropping down the order there. Valtteri Bottas, unfortunately, would retire from the race in the latter stages as well, so not what he would have wanted from this race as well. Further down the order, though, obviously it is Brendan Hartley, Stoffel Van Dorn, Romain Grosjean, Carlos Sainz actually finishing last overall in the order there, with Valtteri Bottas and Esteban Ocon both not making it through to the end of the race there. So Williams, even though we both have reliability issues in that race, I know the team came to me saying Lance did have some car problems as well. The only Mercedes-powered car to get, the only Mercedes-powered team to get both their cars to the finish line there, and that is exactly what we need, obviously, for our constructors' hopes as well. In terms of the Drivers' World Championship there, we now have a 32-point lead after the opening 7 rounds of the season there over Sergio Perez. Seb jumps Danny Rick, Lewis jumps Kimi Räikkönen and Max Verstappen there, with Alonso jumping Bottas, with Lance Stroll holding it nice and equal in between them there. Hulkenberg and Charles Leclerc would jump past Kevin Magnussen and Esteban Ocon, and if I'm not mistaken, it is only Romain Grosjean and Stoffel Van Dorn without points left in this World Championship here. So it looks like, I think for the... No, obviously Brendan Hartley didn't score points in last season there, but that could possibly mean that over the course of 3 seasons, there's only ever been 1 occasion where a driver hasn't scored points overall in a World Championship there. Hulkenberg and Leclerc would actually jump K-Mag, Ocon, Ericsson, Hartley, Sainz as well there. But in terms of the constructors though, we now have a 27-point lead as Ferrari jump Red Bull there. Renault move back up to P8 now, obviously moving back past Toro Rosso, and Haas tied on 16 at the bottom of the order there. But yeah, what a race that has been for ourselves. Absolutely what we needed there, just trying to build up that gap towards this midway stage of the year there. We'll move back into Europe over these next few rounds. I'll really try to lead with the best foot forward there. A little bit of an apology, obviously it wasn't the most exciting race in the world, but obviously as you guys know, I do race to win in this career mode as well. I'm not going to script it to make it more interesting. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time out for the French Grand Prix.